Hi, so my name's Rasha. It's spelled a little bit weird. It's kind of like Danke in German, where the E's make A sounds. And I'm uploading this as close as I can to the end because I want to be at the deadline for this ghost tour interview. And if you don't get that, you shouldn't be working here. Um, so it looks like I got emails from someone named Allie and from someone named Juvenes, and that's a totally new name to me. I hope you guys are enjoying watching all these because I saw there were just 40 to 45 applicants on Indeed. I'm sure not everybody uploaded a video, but I'm gonna try and add as much variety as I can, at least a little. But if you do end up finding someone whose video is better, I can't be too mad about that. There's a ton of people. Um, I thought I'd take a couple minutes to give a self introduction and to reiterate some of the things I sent in my email. I think I'd be great for this because I've walked all over Seattle at all times of day. I've seen everywhere at about 2 a.m. On my way to like a party somewhere or something. And in my teens, I had a huge horror movie phase. I've watched every horror movie I could find. I don't so much nowadays, but I am probably gonna get back into it. Um, I think one of the most like unnerving films I ended up seeing was called The Theater Bazaar, and there's like six short stories. And although they don't really touch on it in the movie, it's based on a place called the. One of the stories is a framing device, and according to Wikipedia, it was based on like somewhere called the Grand Guignol, which is a place from 100 years ago in France, and it was a really cool theater that did a ton of horror shows, and it ended up being a school for the deaf. And I ended up meeting the director of Saw when I was like 16. Although I haven't actually sat through more than like 3 minutes of those movies, it's still cool, and I don't know when else I'm gonna bring up that story. Um, so he was like doing a traveling road show sort of thing for his movie The Devil's Carnival, and so he was like personally presenting the movie at a bunch of theaters because he didn't get very much funding, and so I didn't have like the $20 or whatever for his autograph. Um, but I went to the bathroom, and this guy next to me, he brought me up to the guy next to me insisted in the bathroom. By the way, insisted I come upstairs with him and then just go meet the director. Um, and I wasn't prepared for that meeting, and all I did was ask him if I could have his autograph. And he's like, no, you need to pay the $20. I was like, okay. It really could have gone a lot better, but I just walked away. But I met him. Yeah, I was 16 or 17 at the time. Um, it was at the same theater I went to see Rocky Horror Show literally every month for like 4 years. So that was a fun thing. And but more recently, I've liked cringe compilations where people embarrass themselves in public, and they're just not prepared to be on stage or to talk in front of people or whatever, and they think it's just gonna happen to them like magic because they've never seen anyone embarrass themselves on TV. Um, and I've liked thinking what I would do in those situations to either like like de-escalate or stop something from being so embarrassing for somebody. And these days, I pretty much spend, 30 hours a week trying to do YouTube stuff, just in case there's something I do that I don't like and everyone's had to watch this whole time, then that's what I like about watching my own videos. That's the good part about it for me. I've tried making videos about like exercise or cooking at one point, but definitely the easiest type of content to make is those game react videos. I don't get any views, but it's maybe one day I might. Overall, it pays about $2 an hour on average for people, but it's the skills I learn from it that are important. Just to jump into something else, this is the scary mask I'll be wearing if we do end up, for some reason, needing to reinstate some like COVID stuff. These are my scary sunglasses in case, because I heard something about it's year round, so we're going to be doing plenty of stuff in like the summer months. I have a few things set up just for your viewing variety. I have this background here, and I found some ambient sounds I wanted to use in the background to my speech. And I think the Halloween theme gets recycled in 3 or 4 different Wes Craven movies. I know it's The Exorcist and Halloween. So it goes with any horror story, I guess. I have a cool shirt, kind of patchwork, kind of like Frankenstein. And I have my lamp set up so that it's kind of cool. So I changed some of the script so that it would sound a little bit more like I am saying it, and I added a thing or two just to make it a little easier to follow, for comprehension's sake. Constructed in 1818 for naval hero Stephen Decatur and his wife, the Decatur House is one of the oldest homes left in Washington, D.C., on the other side of the country. Today it's a museum showcasing African American history in an effort to distract tourists from the true nature of the house's grim past. Many men who visited the Decatur House have complained of severe stomach pain during and after their tour. Their abdominal muscles cramped up, causing sharp jolts that have been so traumatic that the person needed to grab hold of nearby furniture so that they didn't collapse onto the floor. In the most extreme cases, unfortunate tourists needed to rush to the bathroom to throw up. But even worse, they discovered signs of internal bleeding for several days after their visit to the house. They wondered if they came down with a virus, and they also wondered if they'd been food poisoned. Their doctors were not able to explain the cause. The stomach pain was actually the paranormal result of the ghostly influence that the late Stephen Decatur holds over the property. At 41 years old, he died in his bedroom after suffering 2 days of excruciating agony from being shot in the abdomen during a duel with Commodore James Barron. Stephen Decatur and James Barron were both naval leaders of the U.S. Why did they want to duel to the death? I'll tell you. Commodore Barron wanted Decatur dead after his role in stripping Barron of his command as a result of a naval incident in 1807. James Barron commanded the USS Chesapeake, and when it was attacked by the British HMS Leopard, Barron offered almost no resistance and surrendered. The British were after deserters on the Chesapeake and tried 4 of the sailors, hanging one and sentencing the other 3 to brutal punishment. It was humiliating for the young United States. And as a result of his cowardice and poor leadership, Barron was stripped of duty for 5 years. James Decatur sat on the jury in the court-martial that convicted him. They agreed he took on responsibility he wasn't ready for. It was really frustrating for someone 11 years younger than him to tell him he did something wrong. Years later, in 1820, Barron tracked Decatur down and challenged him to a duel. Despite Decatur being right, James Barron shot his enemy through the gut for snitching on him. Commodore Decatur was rushed to his home where doctors tried in vain to save the naval hero for 2 days. Doctors attempted to sew his wound 3 times, but too much of Decatur's blood soaked through every set of bed sheets they put him on. It is said that Decatur shouted out, "I did not know that any man could suffer such pain." Finally became too much to bear, and the Commodore succumbed to his wounds, sending his wife into uncontrollable shock. She cried so much she had to be sedated. She never recovered from her husband's loss. Almost immediately following Stephen Decatur's death, his ghost started to appear. When people look, they see him gazing out the upstairs window, watching the street, expecting James Barron to knock on his door. His ghost appears so often in the window that they needed to board it up to stop anyone else walking by from freaking out. His ghost appears so often in the window that they decided the window needed to be walled up so it wouldn't freak anyone else out. In the early hours of the day, people can actually see him leaving through his back door with his guns. Maybe Decatur has to relive that fateful duel over and over. Maybe he thinks he'll win, restore his reputation, and go back inside. I hope at least in death, the excruciating pain he felt dissipated. Although Stephen was 11 years younger than James, James Barron went on to live another 31 years.